All right. What we are doing today, you are learning about one of the other styles of debate. And that is public forum debate. Now remember, we have 3 styles of debate so far. You have learned policy debate. It is the oldest form of debate. It's been around since 1915. It has changed over the years, okay? But it has obviously been around the longest. It's the most intense. It covers one topic year-round, which is going to be, of course, the topic dealing with Latin America. We also have Lincoln-Douglas debate, which we will cover eventually in this class, which is one-person debate. Okay, it's one-on-one. You don't debate with someone. Okay, it deals with morality, ethics, things like that. For example, this month's topic that we're looking at, or for November, December, deals with truth-seeking versus attorney-client privilege. So it's a lot of lawyer stuff there. Okay. This case, we're going to look at public forum. You're going to learn what that is. Now, we also have extemp and oratory. By the way, I'm almost done with oratories. Some are good, some are bad, some are in between. Some of you, I'm just going to tell you, stay with extemp. Much like I did, because I was not good at oratory either. So, what is public forum? A little bit of history. It's only been around for 11 years. Okay? It was created in 2002 by a person named Donis D. Roberts. Now, I say that because there is a good possibility you will see Donis Roberts this year in the back of the room judging you, because he is still judging from Watertown High School. At the National Debate Tournament, they have a special diamond award ceremony for the coaches. You get diamonds for your awards, not real diamonds, but they named it the Donis D. Roberts Coach Recognition Award Ceremony. Like, that's how long he's been around. It's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, so it's created in 2002. The reason it was created was an alternative to policy debate. What the debate community was finding out was that policy debate, while it's amazing and it's still my first preference, it's not for everybody. In fact, a lot of people don't like it at all. It confounds me. I don't understand why people don't like policy debate, but there you have it. So they wanted to create another event because fewer schools were doing policy debate. Also, the public couldn't follow it. You guys watched the final round of policy. You've seen it. How many of you, if your parents came and watched that round, would be able to understand what's going on? You know, probably not too many. A couple would. Okay. But also the time involvement, specifically for smaller schools. We realize policy debate takes a little bit of time. Not an over, it doesn't take, marching band time, but it does take a little bit of time. Okay. And again, you don't have to have all of this memorized here, so we're going to go through it. So, some differences between policy and public forum debate. I'll turn this up to here. Is that okay back there for those of you keeping notes or not?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
sir.
No, I'm asking those writing. You okay back there? All right. So, in policy, remember we've looked at this. We want to focus on the information and the evidence. It's very evidence-based. Persuasion isn't as big of a focus. You're not looked at as how eloquent you speak. It doesn't matter if you sound like Winston Churchill or not. If you looked at like him, then I'd maybe be concerned for you, but sounding like him doesn't matter in policy debate. It's very terminology heavy. Remember, think about the terms you guys have learned this year. Inherency. Disadvantages. Right? Prima facie, we've talked about that a little bit. Stock issues. Stuff that you don't, and all the different stuff that we've talked about with Latin America. It's very terminology heavy. But there's also a huge variety of ways you can win in policy debate. And that's the one thing I love about it. Because you have to strategize. It's all about strategery, as Will Ferrell likes to say. So, because then you look at, okay, what is the affirmative running? What do we have to run against it? What does our judge like to see? And what have they responded before in years past? So how are we going to respond to that? So it goes back and forth, and it really goes through and it analyzes that. Now in public forum, it's a little different. It's a lot more focused on persuasion and eloquence. You need to persuade the judge that you are correct. There's no terminology. There's no disadvantages. There's no topicality. There's none of that. It's a lot like an oratory or an extemp speech. Okay? That's really the pace that you go. Now, you sometimes need to pick it up a little bit more, go a little bit faster to get through some things, but realize one of the reasons why it is slower is in policy debate, you have an experienced policy debater usually in the back of the room as a judge, meaning that it's someone that is either done policy debate or coaches policy debate. In public forum, a lot of times, you will have Miss Bainbridge from the library, one of the assistants. She has judged public forum debate. She has no debate experience. You all have Miss Colbeck, one of the English teachers. She judges public forum for me. Mr. Reiner, who did interp and does oratory, but he's never done debate. He judges public forum debate. Okay? You have teachers, parents, and former debaters, so it's a mix. So you can't have the terminology. You can't go as fast as policy debate is. Okay? You can't be that intense. Okay? So, some structure to it. First of all, there are two-person teams. So again, it's a team event. So you still work with someone. And in this case, though, instead of affirmative and negative, they call it a pro and a con, but it's the same thing. It's affirmative and it's negative. But before the round, and here's the fun part I do like about public forum, is you get a coin flip before the round starts. So let's say, Tiara and Nick are debating, and they're going to debate against Jeff and Matt. And you would start out by flipping a coin. We say, all right, Tiara, call it in the air. Throw it in the air. She says, all right, heads. And it's heads. She gets to pick, all right, do they want to speak first, or do they want to speak second? Or would they rather be on the pro side, or would they rather be on the con side? So in this instance, the con speaker can actually go first. Because let's say they go, all right, we're going to be on the con, because we really like the con side, we're not big fans of the pro. So then Jeff and Matt are like, all right, we're going to be second speakers, because we want the last word in the debate. And absolutely, you should always pick second speaker. That's a general rule of mine. Always pick second speaker. Even if you win the coin flip, you should like both sides to go, yep, we'll speak second. So now the con is actually going to speak first, which is a little different than what you're used to with policy debate, but that's okay. Does that make sense with the coin flip? That one side would pick, they can pick. Do they want to speak pro or con, or do they want to go first or second? The person who didn't win the coin flip gets to choose the other one. So if she chooses pro or con, they get to choose to speak first or second. If she chooses first or second, they get to choose either pro or con. Got it? All right. Structure and speech time. So let's think of it this way. Because remember, it's not always affirmative who goes first. It's not always negative who goes first. So let's say we have Tara, Nick, and then Matt and Jeff. Okay? Remember, in this instance, Tara and Nick, they were going to be on the con. So Matt and Jeff are on the pro. And they chose second speakers, and so they're going to be the first speakers. So speaker one from team A, so Tiara, speaks for 4 minutes. Then Matt goes up, and he speaks for 4 minutes. Then instead of a cross-examination, you have what is called crossfire. What this is you get to ask each other questions back and forth. So Tiara gets to ask Matt a question first, because she was the first speaker. After Matt answers his question, then he gets to ask her a question, and then it's back and forth. So instead of 3 minutes after each speech of just drilling each other, you get to go back and forth after each speech. Does that make sense? I'll get to what you should include in it in a minute. Okay, so we have the crossfire. Well, that is an excellent song by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Anybody heard that one? Caught in the crossfire? It's great. All right, then Nick would come up and give his speech for 4 minutes. And then Jeff would get up and he speaks for 4 minutes. And then they have a crossfire for 3 minutes. The crossfire is a lot of fun as long as you're not dressed like Tucker Carlson or act like him. For those of you who used to watch CNN's Crossfire, it's been off the air for like 5 years, so my guess is.
Brought it back.
I know they did bring it back. Is Tucker still on there or not?
I don't watch it.
Yeah, I don't. I don't watch the Clinton News Network either. Okay, CNN.
Are you just full of bad jokes today?
I am. I am.
They're good.
Bad jokes, can't get enough of them. All right. This is my stand-up routine. I'm practicing, right? It's my side job.
For when you get fired.
Don't quit my, yeah, once I get fired. All right, so now just like in policy debate, you have a constructive speech, then you get a rebuttal speech. But the rebuttals are named a little differently. They're called summaries and final focuses. So now, after this, Tierra gets to get up and give another speech, but this time it's only 2 minutes. Matt gets up after her. Again, he speaks for 2 minutes. Now we have what is called the grand crossfire, which is all 4 of you asking each other questions. This can get a bit intense and heated and other really bad words in which I have to write in the ballot, you really gotta simmer down. I had that happen this last week, or was it last weekend we were gone? I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. And people just got way over the top because, you have to be careful. Your body language and the way you respond to things affects the way the judge sees your arguments, okay? But what's interesting is this one, all 4 of you sit down. So remember, in cross-examination or crossfires, you're usually standing up in front and looking at the judge. In this case, you actually sit down. All 4 of you do. Then we get what is called the final focus. So Nick goes up for 2 minutes and says, here's why we are winning this debate. Jeff gets up for 2 minutes and says, au contraire. And he should say that. No, I'm just kidding. Explaining why they win. Each side gets 2 minutes of prep time. So in other words, throughout the debate, you only get 2 minutes to use to prepare your speeches. And we'll get into what they all include. Now, if you remember in policy debate, anybody remember what are the time limits? Policy debate. Hang on a second. Okay, so we went 8-3, 8-3, 8-3, 8-3, 5-5, 5-5, right? So our total time is what, 64 minutes. By the way, that doesn't include the 5 minutes of prep time for each side. That's 74 minutes, right? What's our time in public forum?
4, 4, 4, 3. So what, 11, 22, 33. 33 minutes.
Did you include prep time for both sides?
34 minutes.
So we have 11, 22, 24, 26, 29, 31, 33. Total of 37 minutes. It's about half the time. It is half the time. Right? 8, 11, 22, 24, 26, 29, 31, 33. Yep. Okay? Now, there's pros and cons to having less time. The pro is, well, it's less time. The con is, it's less time. Now, what do I mean by that? The con especially, how well can you develop an idea and an argument in this amount of time? Not as well as you can in policy debate. That's the downside. So if you're really getting into a discussion about drone warfare and how it violates the international code and how other countries are getting upset with us, how it's going to lead to terrorism, how it's going to cause all these other issues, can you really eloquently do that in this short amount of time? It's very difficult too. You have to be short, you have to be concise. Yeah,
That's like an hour and a half.
it's only an hour and 15 minutes.
That's you don't go only.
Yeah, only.
Not enough.
Varsity policy rounds sometimes go like an hour and 40 because they just piss around too much, but that's besides the point. Let's look at the first speaker responsibilities. Okay? So, we're talking about Tara and Matt here. First speakers on each side. What they do is they're constructing arguments. They're defining any key terms and analyzing the resolution, and then giving 3 points to either support or oppose the resolution. This look familiar at all? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Does it maybe look like your exempt speeches?
What?
You're going to basically give an introduction, explaining what's going on. You're going to state the resolution and analyze it, break it down. And then you're going to give me 3 reasons why you support or oppose that resolution. It really is that simple. Don't worry, I'm not going to give it to you.
Okay, good.
This,
Oh, let me bring it across. Can you ask your teammates questions?
no, you don't want to ask your teammate questions. Why are you asking that? No. Okay.
Also, can you bring across? So easy. You just talk. Like, you don't
No,
know.
you want to ask. Yeah, I mean, there's no like set. The person, the team that spoke first always gets the first question,
And then it's just sweet.
and after that, it's usually goes back and forth. You want to try, if you can, take control of the crossfire, because if you can get them to play defense, then obviously that benefits you. All right. So here's the structure. You don't have to write this exactly down. Don't worry about it, because I just want to show it to you. Doesn't it look pretty simple? Right? Here's my attention getter. State the resolution, give an overview of the points, clarify anything if needed. Explain, go into your 3 main points with evidence to back it up. Review those points, tying the attention getter. That look pretty easy? Like I said, it's a little bit simpler than having inherency plan advantages, which include harms and solvency, right? It is easier to understand. That doesn't mean it's any less work, okay? I don't want you to get the idea that, oh, sweet, I can be lazy and do this. No. You can be lazy and do policy. You can be lazy and do public forum. But if you want to do well, you can.
I
So-
like this one better. Can you like go to tournaments like this and get?
Yes, you absolutely can go to tournaments and do public forum. Yes, sir.
Do you get the same amount of points for that one as you would for policy?
Yes, you do.
Yes,
All right,
I'm
doing
doing
it.
this one. Why would you even do policy then? That's like
This
twice the
policy's-
amount of time,
policy's
twice the amount of
infinitely
work,
better.
twice the amount
It's
of.
not twice the amount of work. Like I said,
Policy's the party.
Yeah,
public forum debate requires just as much work and effort.
But
It's
it's
a lot
It
less
is a different type of work.
But it's not
Okay.
because you don't
Yeah.
have to have as much like for the time. You don't have to like.
For the
make
time, right,
excuses
but here's
like-
the kicker, okay? In public forum debate, you change topics every single month,
Well, we're only here
which
for
means
2
you
months.
have to research the new topic and learn about a new topic every single month, okay? So yes, there's less time. It does not mean, okay, listen up, it does not mean that it requires less effort, okay? I don't want you thinking that. People have, and then they've done horrendous. Now, second speaker. So, Tierra and Matt bring up the ideas. Here's our arguments. So now Nick and Jeff have to respond to those points. So remember, Tierra speaks first, Matt goes second, now it's Nick's turn. Nick has to respond to what Matt said. Okay? He has to point out flaws in their case, use evidence, okay, refute, reinforce your ideas. And then Jeff gets up and has to attack Tierra's points. Okay? So Nick would get up and say, okay, let's go to the pro side. I'm going to show why their arguments are wrong. And then he goes through and tears them apart. And Matt's back there going, wow, he's a really good debater.
What?
I'm just picking on you, Matt. Jeff gets up and shows his brother how to really debate and just tears apart Tierra's case, right?
That's nice.
Then once again you have the crossfire. So that's the second speaker. The second speaker's job basically is just to attack the opponents. So this is a lot like the first negative in policy debate. Remember, the first negative gets up and attacks what the affirmative said. You guys realize something with the pro and the con? Who has a case? Who has a prepared case?
What?
That's a trick question.
What?
Okay, both do. Both sides actually have a pre-written case. And so it's the second speakers, both of them have to respond to those cases. Okay? Again, the structure is pretty simple. Don't worry about writing this down at the moment. All you do is kind of give an overview of the round, why your side's right, you attack your opponent, and then kind of reinforce your ideas if you have time. But you can do it while you're arguing against it, and then kind of an underview of why you're winning. Remember, a lot of your judges are lay judges. They have no debate experience at all. You have to explain to them with every single speech why you are winning the round. Remember when I talked about policy debate, write the judge's ballot, tell them how they should vote and what they are going to vote on? It's exactly what you should do in public forum too. Except for one judge, and I will always let you know who she is. She's a judge. All right, now we get to the summary speeches. Now here's, again, the problem with public forum that you don't have in policy is, again, the time limit. Now, some would argue, right, Haley, that the time limit is a good thing because you have less time to argue stuff. But again, that's also the problem, is that you have less time to focus the debates and argue it. Again, there's pros and cons to both. There's huge benefits to policy, there's benefits to public forum. There's con side to policy, there's con sides to public forum, okay? So keep it in mind. But here's really, think about this when it comes to public forum. It's a sieve, okay, or a sieve, or whatever the hell you call it, okay? Here are your opening speeches, right? Can't spell today either. Okay? These are 4 minutes long. All of a sudden we're getting down. There's only 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here. You got to focus the debate. You got to bring it down to key ideas. So this case, Tierra would get up and have to figure out, okay, what are the 2 to 3 reasons why we're winning this debate? Why are we winning? And then explain why they're winning these points. Matt would get up and do the same thing. Here's why the pro team is winning. Okay? That's really all it is. It's pretty simple. The final speeches, again, here's why we're winning this debate. Okay, Haley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't want to bring up any new arguments in this last speech. You want to choose what are the most important points in this round and give the judge a reason to vote for it. Okay? Any questions so far? So, quick review. First speaker, they get up, lay out the case. Here's the reasons why we're winning. Second speaker gets up. No, here's why we are second speaker gets up, argues against the opponent. Nope, they're wrong, we're right. Summary speeches get up, they say, all right, here are the 3 reasons why we're winning. The last speaker gets up, final focus. The name of the presentation itself, the speech itself, should tell you exactly what it does. It focuses the debate. Give the reason, or the judge a reason to vote for you. Okay?
No,
For some people, it absolutely is. Not for me. And granted, I coach for me. I like that, but I also see. I really love policy. Too. You're smart. Yeah. Yeah, the speech fiesta. Yeah, it's a huge debate from that. Even though they call it a speech fiesta.
Place what? Yeah.
Am I writing this?
Even though you guys thought you were plus handed to you.
We did. No, both the rounds. We still won.
I-
You pooped yourself, but you still won.
So does the other team.
Okay, next, crossfires. I've already talked about this, so you don't have to write all of it down. But remember, crossfires, you go back and forth, you take turns, be polite, don't be rude, because the problem is when you're rude, the judge will not like you. I've been in a round that, it was the octafinals at Dowling, so you're talking, it started out with about 120 teams. We're talking the top 32 at this point. And one of the judges like, well, yeah, I just like their speaking style better, so I voted for that team. It's just like, are you kidding me? I'm actually on this judge panel. But they just really didn't like the attitude of the other team, so they voted him down. It happens. It's all about style sometimes. So you gotta be nice in crossfire, okay? Follow the same thing as cross-sex though. Try and poke holes in cases. Really try and make them sweat. Chris?
You just run out of time too, like you just say we're rolled out of questions, you just end the crossfire.
Yeah, you can,
Okay.
but remember, grand crossfire, I already talked about this. All four debaters ask each other questions back and forth, but you remain seated. Be polite, okay? So we've already talked about that. So, some final thoughts for you when it comes to public forum. Like I said, it is simpler than policy debate. It does not require any less effort or research. You still have to do some work. It takes a different type of work. It is easier to understand, absolutely. It's easier to win at, quicker, against tougher competition. But, you know, if you like to argue, but you don't like that kind of formality of policy debate, you might like this, okay? Yes, Matt?
So is there like, you have all these arguments put up, or do we just use the same arguments as?
No, you cover a different topic, and we'll get to that right now, actually. In fact, your resolution is resolved the benefits of domestic surveillance by the NSA outweigh the harms. So all you were doing on the pro is saying, you know what? Yeah, domestic surveillance by the NSA, there's huge benefits to it. This reason, and this reason. That outweighs any harms from NSA surveillance, so you vote pro. The con would get up and say, au contraire, right? And say, actually the harms of domestic surveillance are this, and that hugely outweighs any benefits that would potentially come from NSA surveillance. Is that pretty simple to understand? So Matt, what we do is, we have some documents for you that I can share with you that you use to compile your arguments, but it's a lot like an extemp speech. Remember, because you don't cite the evidence like you do in policy debate, you cite it more like an extemp speech. You say, in fact, you know, according to James Carafano, who's a vice president for defense and foreign policy studies at the Heritage Foundation, he tells us in his article from 2013 that, then you kind of quote it from there. So you say it's more, again, it's more about persuasion, and it also, I mean, it clearly relies on evidence. You can't be like, well, domestic surveillance is great, and I'm just a fantastic speaker, so I should win. You still got to have evidence and reasoning to justify it. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up a new document. So start a new document. Title it Policy or Public Forum. Okay? So your title should be Policy or Public Forum. By the way, you'll sometimes hear policy referred to as CX, and public forum referred to as PF, and Lincoln Douglas referred to as LD, just obviously short terms. Cross-examination debate, CX. Okay, what I want you to do. Madison, I'm just trying to get your attention. Okay, so what I want you to do is on here. If you would like to, if you prefer policy debate, want to keep doing that at tournaments, in which I highly recommend some of you to do, just type that in the body of the speech. Just put, I'm going to stay in policy debate, and share it with me. If you'd rather do public forum debate, what I want you to do is define what domestic surveillance is.
Huh?
That's all you got to do.
Just Google it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It really is not that hard.
Really.
And then again, share it with me. Yes, sir. What do you want to do, Chris? I know, but
Then we just make policy.
yeah, just leave it as policy then. If you're not going to work on public forum, you don't even want to give it a try, Chris? Yes.
My computer's dead, so can I just do it on a piece of paper?
Yes, you can do it on a piece of paper and hand it in too. So what do you do?
Can we just say we're gonna do public so we don't have to write the definition?
No, you need to write the definition.
Oh no.
Like I said, with public forum debate, it does not require any less work, it just requires a different type of work. We're not, this is not an advocacy to be lazy. We don't accept that here. I know Emmett's all in for policy.
Just share an entire
Yeah.
document and just look for policy.
Yep. Now, again, this isn't your final determination of policy or public forum, but what it'll help me do is next week, listen up, okay, next week, we're going to start kind of diverging then. Those who are going to be staying in policy debate, I'll have different assignments for you to work on. And then in public forum, we'll have different assignments for you to work on. That's why I want you to kind of, and again, it's not a final determination. Maybe you want to try policy debate at a tournament, then maybe you want to try public forum. That's fine. You can try both at a tournament. In fact, this might not be a bad idea for you to do. Okay?
Do more people do the second one or the first one?
It kind of depends on the school. Some schools don't even teach policy debate anymore.
That's awesome. We should have taught.
Okay, that's lovely that you think that, but unfortunately, you are nowhere near in authority to make that decision.
The whole back row, please.
Me.
Back row, please.
Yep.
What page block?
What are you guys doing?
Second one.
Google Drive.